So you're thinking about moving to Columbus, Ohio. Fantastic. But before you do, I want you to watch this video because we are going over the most common mistakes to avoid before moving to Columbus, Ohio. You will not want to miss it. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, Moving to Ohio. My name is Blake Kircher. I'm a local realtor here in Columbus, Ohio. So if you are relocating, I would love to help you with your real estate needs. My information will be on the screen and in the description below. With that being said, let's get straight into the video. The first thing you must avoid when moving to Columbus, Ohio is not researching where you want to live. This is the biggest mistake that I see with people coming to the area. If you get a job relocation to Columbus, Ohio, or you are moving here with your family to be closer to family or whatever reason it may be, you must research or have an idea of where you would like to live. And I know if you're not from the area, you're not going to know the suburbs, the city, what to avoid, what places to live, all of that a local would know. But that's why, in my opinion, it's very important to reach out to a trusted real estate agent months in advance before you move to an area, so you can get an idea and Zoom call with that real estate agent so they can show you the actual areas to decide which would be the best fit for you. In addition to that, you do not want to move anywhere where you know you don't want to live. Meaning, if you know you do not like living in the city, you probably don't want to buy a house even if you're relocating to an area if it's in the city. You may want to drive 20 or 30 minutes to get to work if that means you're able to live in a suburb. So those are key things that I believe you must do before moving to Columbus, Ohio. Do your research on an area before you decide to purchase a home there. Next, let's talk about the commute time. This goes hand in hand to researching before you move to an area. So if you're like me and you love coffee and you love the gym, you will most likely want to live near areas that are close to a coffee shops and the gym. Nowadays here in Columbus, Ohio, that will not be too hard to make happen, but whatever you like to be close to, you need to make sure that you can buy a home that is close to that. So if you like living to restaurants and you like living close to fine dining or whatever it may be, make sure that wherever you buy a home is close to you. And if you have a job where that requires you to go in the office, I always recommend that you at least are able to drive 30 minutes or less, because there is a lot of traffic here in Columbus, Ohio. So if your house is 30 minutes away without traffic to work, you do not want to have to leave for work in the mornings an hour and a half just to get to work. So that's just a pro tip from me from being a local. Traffic gets pretty heavy here in Columbus, Ohio, starting around 6 a.m. all the way up until around 10 a.m. in the morning. So I highly recommend that you do your commute time, or you research your commute time from your home to your work, because that is going to be something you drive to and from every single day. So in my opinion, you must know how long is the distance without traffic and how long is the distance with traffic from the work and my house. That is very important. I also wanted to mention, this goes back to lifestyle. When you're moving to a new area, you're not going to know the ins and out until you've been here for at least a year or two. So know what kind of lifestyle you are. If you want to be near parks where it's very walkable, look at areas that have tons of parks within proximity. Same as with restaurants. I know I mentioned it before, but this comes down to lifestyle. The last thing you want to do is make the biggest investment of your life and just realize when you get here, you hate the house, or more importantly, you hate the area that you're in. So do your due diligence, double and triple check the commute times from activities and your work that you like to do every single day. I can't stress that enough. The number 3 thing to avoid is buying a home in an HOA. Now hear me out. I'm not saying you should absolutely avoid buying a home without an HOA, because the reality is a lot of homes here in Columbus, Ohio and the surrounding areas, especially when we're talking new construction, are going to have HOAs. And the condos in Columbus, Ohio, they're pretty much all going to have HOA fees. But what I will say is, before you buy a property in an HOA, make sure that you've read the guidelines, the regulations, and the rules of the HOA. Because the last thing you want to do, especially if you have pets, is find out that your HOA does not allow you to have a fence or a privacy fence. So know the ins and outs of an HOA if you plan on buying a property that has a monthly or a yearly HOA fee. You do not have to completely avoid buying a property within an HOA, but like I mentioned, really find out the rules and regulations of that HOA to make sure that those HOA rules align with what you plan on doing with your property once you buy it. Next, let's talk about closing costs. Here in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, both the buyer and the seller typically pay their own closing costs. Now, in today's market, where homes are sitting longer on the market, you as a buyer moving to the area may be able to get your closing costs covered by the seller. Now, this is all going to depend how long a property has been sitting on the market. Typically, the longer a property has been sitting on the market, the more willing a seller is willing to pay the buyer's closing costs. So this is the key factor. Not in every scenario is the seller going to pay for the buyer's closing costs. But in today's market, I am seeing it more and more often due to higher interest rates and properties sitting on the market longer, and which means there are more motivated sellers. But just plan as a buyer to pay for your own closing costs. And for closing costs, if you're a conventional loan, $3,500 to $5,500 is a safe amount. Now, if you're buying $1 million home plus, be prepared to pay more in closing costs. If you're paying for an average price home here, anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000, be prepared to spend $3,500 to $5,500 in closing costs typically. Now, that's not an exact number, but just an estimated range. The final mistake to avoid when moving to Columbus, Ohio, is buying a home in a non-desirable resale area. Now, this is very important because when you're moving to a new area, in all likelihood, your first home that you buy in a new state will not be your last. So I highly recommend that you buy a home in a good school district where homes resell really fast. You want to look at the days on market. How fast do homes typically sell in that area or in that particular neighborhood that you like a home in? This is very important because the way people are moving nowadays, you will most likely not be in one single home, especially if this is your first home in a new area. You may discover that you like a different area better once you get here. So I highly recommend buying a home in a highly desirable school district that is going to have an easier time on the resale market, because most likely you will buy the home and in 3 to 5, maybe 10 years, you're going to resell the home and buy your next home, maybe your dream home, who knows. But I highly recommend taking that tip and thinking about that, because even if you don't ever plan on moving to another house once you get to your new state, in all likelihood you probably will want to move, and you may find that you like an area better, or you may have to relocate again in the future, and you don't want to be stuck with a home that you can't sell relatively easy and in a quick time frame. Alright guys, so those are the most common mistakes to avoid when moving to Ohio, in particularly Columbus, Ohio. Like I mentioned before, I'm a local realtor here in Columbus, Ohio. As much as I love making these videos, I would love to help you with your real estate needs. My information will be on the screen and in the description below. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Until next time guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.